This is Lemon's Car Spotting. You post to Instagram with the hashtag Lemon's Car Spotting. We pick the hooptiest.
They are so incredibly terrible.
And which one we want to become a real Lemons build.
It does car-like things. I've been pushing for one of those in Lemons too, and those are very affordable.
Hey everybody, it's Jay and Nick for Lemon's Car Spotting. Somebody in the comments like 3 weeks ago said, these are so much better when it's Nick and Eric, not when it's Nick and Jay. I could not agree more. And I'm trying to convince these guys to let me off the hook. They're not doing it. So here I am. Here's how this works. You go out in the world, it's on Instagram. You hashtag Lemon's Car Spotting when you see weird, terrible things out there. We find them. We give 2 prizes here after reviewing the cars. One is the car that is the hoopiest. The other is the car that we want to see as a future Lemons build. And let's go.
Yep, that's right. We select them like this. It's Lemons build. It's hoopiest. Jay, close your eyes. Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
That's the hooptiest. So that means you're doing that and I'm doing the Lemons build.
All right, let's get into it.
Let's go. All right.
Well, we got a running start at hooptiest right there.
We've seen a lot of Chevettes on this thing. There's a
this is from the Euro blackout trim period of General Motors.
I believe they call it Shadow Line.
There you go.
Out here where cars don't rust as much, this is the kind of thing that you'd think you'd see. But it's also the place where they sold 4 Chevettes new. So. Yeah, I don't know where the crossover area for the most extant Chevettes would be. This one, I guess, is tagged in Chicago. That can't be it.
Yeah, no, it must have gone somewhere dry and then come back. This was somebody who got reposted to New Mexico and then drove their Chevette back to Chicago.
Right, exactly.
This must be a really late one because of the shadow trim, which of course makes everything look really sporty. So. Good on them. I mean, this is basically a 3 Series BMW.
Yeah, pretty much. Speaking of Euro.
God. It's the going to have been a Mustang car.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this famously was going to replace the Mustang because the muscle car, the rear drive V8 car was dead. Everything was going to go front drive.
Yep.
They weren't technically wrong about that idea. And we've said here in the past that the Probe actually makes a halfway decent Lemons car.
Yeah, these were not terrible cars. These were actually pretty good cars.
I don't know anything about. Is this a first gen? They have the really roundy round later one.
Yeah, I think it's a first gen. I think that's it's basically what's the Mazda equivalent?
It's
an MX-6. It's an MX-6 platform, slightly different body, great motor. They spun great, nice gearbox on these things. Just kind of slow and rickety, but otherwise, hey, good car.
One of the comments here says, "What a gross name for a car."
Yeah, that's definitely true.
At what point because obviously they were going for Star Trek, hey, it's a space probe, it's futuristic. At what point did probe mean the?
Yeah. I don't know.
Somewhere after they decided to call it that and before it was done being sold as a car. So
here's what I think happened. I think, Detroit boardroom, there's 40 old white guys, probably younger than me at this point, but there's 40, 50 something white guys. And every one of them is sitting around saying, I better not say anything about Probe because they're all going to think I'm into that. They were all too scared and too homophobic to actually save themselves from this mistake.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Well, on that note, let's see what's up next.
Where old bi-turbos go to die, which is also the new car dealership for bi-turbos.
Good Lord. So you got 2 Cherokees, 2 bi-turbos, and a Passat.
Yep. And they all look like they're all doing what all of those cars do, i.e. sit dead.
Yeah. Boy, I'm sure the Cherokee jihad will say, no, my Cherokee runs forever. But let's face it, there's a lot of dead ones out there in the world.
So this is where basically this whole film series just shows our extreme ignorance and reduces our already very limited credibility. So there's 2 generations here of Cherokee, and apparently it makes a really big difference, and one is great and one is after they ruined it. But I don't know that. I mean, what are these?
Well, so the one on the left is an XJ, which is the box Cherokee, and then the one on the right is a Grand Cherokee, which actually did overlap with the standard, and I believe the Grand Cherokee is a ZJ. And the Grand Cherokee was bigger and more luxurious and more terrible, as far as I know. But it was like in the 70s, did they have a smaller? Because they had like the big old giant.
They had the Grand Wagoneer, and then they had the mail Jeep, and then there was a bunch of crap happening in the middle that I know nothing.
Yeah. So I always felt that the Grand Cherokee was like a replacement for the big giant Wagoneer. I don't know.
I was paying attention to much more important things like, MGBs and, equally valuable, meaningful cars, not these.
Right, exactly. And speaking of the Passat, not to leave the Passat out of the discussion, I have a neighbor who it's a house on a hill, and so there's a garage with like a bridge that goes out to it. And there's a Passat that's dead in the garage, but the bridge is all rotted out. And I've always joked like, well, I'm sure the car runs fine, but I can't get it out because the bridge is dead. It's got nothing to do with the fact that the car is completely knackered. And of course, recently he just fixed the bridge, and guess what's actually still there? All right. Stance Nation.
What are we even? How does that happen?
Yeah, isn't this like just a beam axle in the back?
Yeah. And even if you break that, even if that thing breaks, it must be the flange, I guess, breaks off of the axle. Because even if that thing breaks, it shouldn't do that.
And now, obviously, somebody in the comments here said, I believe the kids called that stance, because of course, the extreme camber style is a thing that happens. And, I don't have any particular affinity for the extreme camber style in Stance Nation. What I really like about it is how much it pisses off the old dudes. And I figure like anything that does that is worth doing.
Yeah, no, that's true. In fact, so the guy, the current track manager at CMP is a total stance fanatic. And you get all of these old cracker coots rolling in, doing their regular racing, and they're just livid. And it's really entertaining.
That's so great.
Yeah.
The funny thing, they always like the safety, the tire wear and safety will be bad. When, deep down it's like, I can't handle this, and that's why I don't like it. These are the same guys that are running drum brakes on their, 429 Cobra Jet. So they're not really the foremost experts on safety.
They're not Ralph Nader, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of old coots.
So is the 4-headlight era kind of coming back into aesthetic acceptance now?
Now? I don't know.
Right on the edge. It's right on the edge. I saw a Gordon Keeble the other day. I'm like,
those are really cool.
The 4 headlights does not ruin that car anymore.
Yeah. It was definitely a stylistic element that that entered into the design language that, it lasted forever. This is early 60s.
Yeah, it was like the beginning of the 60s through kind of 67, 68. It's like, oh, okay, we got to stop.
Oh no, but then it came back in the 80s. DeLoreans had the 4 headlights.
Yeah, but those were horizontal. It's the diagonal kind of angry snarling 4 headlight thing.
Yeah.
Just hoopty ass. But the Lamborghini 400 GT, 4 headlights. Yeah. Maserati Mexico, 4 headlights. So what's going on in the background there also? What is that?
I think it's some other big giant Mopar, just like from the early 60s.
No, I think it's a Buick, isn't it? With that, it's got the slanty headlight part, but then the upright grille part. I don't know. Yeah, usually these people, if they're collecting giant cars of one mark, that's all they are.
Yeah,
so I don't know what it is.
It might even be a modern Chrysler 300, even behind that. So
it is. Yeah, no, it is a Chrysler 300, which makes me think, this guy clearly has he's another case of bad Mopar disease.
Yeah, pretty common as it turns out.
Yeah.
All right, next up. No.
Talk about bad Mopar disease.
On that subject. Now,
These things.
Judge Phil, as we all know, he has a list. I mean, we talk about, cars we want to see in Lemons. We'll do the occasional blog post about it. Judge Phil has like the super curated list of 4 cars that not only is there cars that he wants to see in Lemons, but that he will not stop talking about. And the Crossfire is certainly one of them. And the thing about Phil is like, all right, Phil, I've maybe heard enough about the Crossfire, but at the same time, you're not wrong. We do want to see a Crossfire in Lemons.
So we've just never seen a Crossfire.
Nope. The closest we got was a couple years ago in Indy. One of the corner workers was driving a Crossfire.
Oh, that's right. Well, when you think about it, it's a lot of car for the money.
It is. It's
got a lot of eyeball. It's
a Mercedes SLK with that Mercedes V6 in it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, how bad could it possibly be?
How bad could it be? Somebody needs to find out. We may even put you in Class C because it's a loophole.
So in other words, you get all the respect and credibility of driving a Chrysler with the repair process and parts prices of a Mercedes.
Man, just the best of all combinations.
Yeah. That was pretty good. It's pretty good. I used to think these were incredibly ugly, and then I came to realize, no, these are super cool. George Jetson, man, these things are great. And now I'm back to these are incredibly ugly.
Well, so our mutual friend and Lemons racer, Bill Mertz, had an idea for this era of Thunderbird, which I think is great. And it involves just cutting off the windshield, all the windows and everything, and making a humongous monoposto out of it with like a single bubble windscreen. And you're like, sitting in the middle. There's 20 feet of flat sheet metal in every direction, and your head is just popping out of the middle of it.
Ford did that. They had a show car that was exactly that, and it was awesome. It was really good. It was a little half height, D-type kind of windshield. It was spectacular. So Bill is not wrong.
You got to wear the Evel Knievel half helmet with the stars and stripes on it. It would be so cool.
Yeah, Bill's not wrong. That would be good.
All right. The Gremmy. These are pretty common on Lemon's car spotting. This has got to be at least the 3rd or 4th Gremlin we've seen.
There's more of them out there than we think is really what it comes down to. There's one on my street right now in San Francisco. It just showed up on California Street. Dude with a white Gremlin. Yeah.
This one's got the extra special stripe package, which is pretty cool.
Well, that's a pretty great car. That's a pretty good looking car right there. I would daily that thing in a heartbeat.
Yeah, totally. And
I love how AMC decided, well, the problem with big, inefficient American cars is the trunk. Like we're not going to change anything else from like the rear axle forward, just a giant big American car. But we're going to get rid of that trunk. It's going to fix everything.
Yeah, and we're going to have the same engines that all get 11 miles to the gallon. It'll just be way shorter and weirder looking.
Yeah, exactly. Harder to carry dead bodies.
Yeah. All right. Dead bodies. What in the world?
All right, I'm not buying this.
It does have the look of either a Google Street View graphics error or a Photoshop.
Yeah. Although, how awesome would it in fact be to have the stretch Prius limo? But
oh man, I don't have kids, but one of the things I would do if I had kids was try to be the most embarrassing dad ever, which, to be fair, wouldn't require a lot of effort.
Yeah.
But one of the things I would do for my kids' high school prom, I've got the limo covered for you, buddy. Don't worry about it. It'll be parked out front and ready. And then oh man. I'd be on Facebook Live with the live reaction to the Prius limo.
That's pretty good. I wish there was such a thing, but I'm doubtful.
Yeah. Although, how hard could it be to make?
That's a good point.
All right, last car for this week. Oh man, Mitsubishi Montero / Dodge Raider. Why you rude?
Yeah. Well. how did I don't even know what to say about these things. Clunky, rusty, underpowered. Look good though. They're cute little sprightly looking cars, just kind of terrible.
Yeah, and legendary in Central American countries, kind of, like if you go to Peru, this thing totally makes sense. But if you're driving it in LA, you're the dumbest person on the planet.
Well, I guess it makes sense where simplicity really matters. Where you're out in the middle of nowhere and the car's only got one carburetor and 4 moving parts. I mean, right. Totally makes sense. Totally makes
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, on to the awards. I believe you got the hooptiest for this week.
Yeah, boy. It's gonna have to be that tbird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty spectacular. And to be fair, it doesn't look that hoopty, but
I stand by my
American car is kind of automatically hoopty.
Yeah.
We will say.
I've driven these cars, and trust me, the best one in the world is the hooptiest car. So yes, this is not a very hoopty example of this car, but these are incredibly hoopty cars. So I stand by my assertion.
Yeah, that's a good enough explanation for me. Well, the Lemons build this time has to be, we kind of hinted at it before, but a car that we've never seen and really want to. And of course, that's the Crossfire. I mean, like we say, it's a loophole. You can get Mercedes quality and horsepower for Chrysler prices and certainly dominate the race. I don't see how you wouldn't win overall with this.
Yeah, no, I agree. Excellent choice.
All right. Well, as always, tag your photos of Lemons Car Spotting, post them on Instagram. We'll find it. We'll talk about it right here, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, bye-bye.
This is from that weird era. I mean, they definitely seem to translate a lot more of concept car-like stuff into the production version. Like everything.
No, that's true. That's true. And this
early 2000s futuristic, late 90s.
Really an interesting looking car. I kind of vaguely remember driving them, and I mean, they were fine, whatever. But it's a cool design.